In Newcastle, several hundred people marched down Hunter Street, waving placards and condemning the government's decision to cut 12,500 jobs from the state's public service. Those people attending today's rally included employees from the Department of Community Services. Premier Greiner recently announced that the regional office of the department would be moved to Lismore, with scores of jobs lost.
They need to be told that it's really a bit crazy to decide that we're going to administer community services. It used to be family and community services, but the government's dropped the family off. They're going to administer community services in the Hunter from Lismore. That's going to be the administrative centre for the Hunter. I mean, we knew they'd failed economics. It looks like they've flunked geography as well.
Other unhappy workers included state transit employees, TAFE teachers and health workers. The gathering passed two motions, the first calling on the government to reconsider its decision and the second pushing for a network of representatives to step up the protest campaign. Following the 5,000-strong gathering last Wednesday to protest the closure of Wallsend Hospital, today's rally was slightly disappointing for organisers. It's a common belief that the general community is unaware of what the government's cutbacks will mean.
I don't think they are now, but within the next few months they're going to become very aware as they go to report a child who's being abused next door and there's no one in the Family and Community Services office, as they go to catch a bus that's been there every day for the last 20 years and it's no longer on the route. As the services disappear, that's when they're going to become really aware of what's happening.
Do you like the safety chief?
The Royal Motor Yacht Club is rich in assets but has a serious cash flow problem. The bar and poker machine trade simply hasn't been enough to cover an annual bank charge and interest bill of more than $60,000. Trade figures are slowly improving and occupancy at the club's new marina has just topped 50%. But to stay afloat, it needs an urgent injection of cash.
If we can interest our members in taking out first mortgage debentures and unload our bank loan, then the club in 5 years' time will be able to start repaying back those debentures and hopefully in 7-8 years we'll be free and clear.
The club hopes to raise at least $150,000, but if members reject the debenture proposal, it could close before the end of September.
My main consideration is that if it gets to that situation, that we do it before that much money is borrowed, that everybody that we owe money to doesn't get paid.
Bruce Mackenzie, NBN News.
As well as the daily diet of talkback and tunes, 2KO decided to cut a cake to mark its landmark achievement of 60 years on the airwaves. Guest of honour at the celebrations was 2KO's founder, Sir Alan Fairhall. As an unemployed dockyard worker in Newcastle during the Great Depression, he turned a backyard hobby into a business.
I saw a lot of hopes about it, of course, because that's all we had in those days. I say it was depression, the times were a little harder even than they are now. But we had great hopes for it. We knew we were onto a necessary service.
That's the budget blues, spread the happy news. Good times are coming, keep on humming. Whether you win or lose, put on your running shoes. Give it a smile, get over the style and banish the budget blues.
Williamtown's 3 Squadron and 77 Squadron have joined about 3,000 other military personnel at Australia's top end for the most significant exercise in the RAAF's training calendar. Operation Pitch Black also involves American Defence Force personnel and the Republic of Singapore Air Force and is designed to test combined air defence procedures with other countries. Day and night aircraft divided into 2 forces are operating from Darwin and Curtin in Western Australia and will wage war for the next week. Already the Blue Force, defending Darwin, has a few problems to iron out.
Every single Blue fighter in Sector North should have one radio and big picture. And that hasn't been happening.
From yesterday, and it's been emphasised here before, use the big picture freak. It's the only way we can communicate and find out what the hell's happening out there.
Now, we're going to lose aeroplanes. That's just the way the war goes. But we need to be sticking to the plan to ensure that we don't lose guys unnecessarily.
A bucket and broom brigade have taken to cleaning out the old and now mostly disused bee shed on Wharf Road. Fire hoses began scouring a floor once pressed by heavy cargoes and wool, but lately offering only cold hard comfort to the squatters who frequent the waterside buildings. Idle hands are being put to work clearing space for a gymnasium, hockey and basketball courts. Ramps into the building could prove useful for what's hoped will become a clinic area for the wheelchair bound. The project is banking on the labour of volunteers and donated materials.
Builders of any description, we need helping with the fixing up of the flooring, maybe even looking into some lighting and things of that nature. But MSB have been very good to us in a lot of areas.
Across the road at the Salvation Army Crisis Centre, new health clinic areas are taking shape for an opening in September. The centre will add dental care to a list of services already offered to the homeless.
Fred Watkins has spent 8 years trying to chip his way out of a bureaucratic bunker. He's entitled to a day in the sun. For the main man behind the drive to establish a golf course at Kincumber, today's news was better than a hole-in-one.
As you know, we've been fighting for 8 years for this thing, and to culminate on today, it's just wonderful.
The Public Works Department has agreed to lease the land to the Gosford City Council for a yearly rent of just $1,470. That will increase to more than $7,000 if a licensed club is established, but is still a far cry from the $100,000 being mooted just 3 weeks ago. Gosford Mayor Pat Harrison is certain the council will agree to the terms.
This has been such a political issue over the last 3 or 4 years anyway, certainly prior to the 88 election, that I can't see anything stopping it now.
The Premier was forced to intervene when the project looked like stalling earlier this year. He admits the first golf ball should have been struck here years ago.
I think the Public Works Department had a point about making sure there was capacity for sewerage treatment works for the growth of a Central Coast, but I'd have to say that it was a bit of a bureaucratic bun fight, and I'm glad that at last I've been able to sort of cut through the bun.
A driving range should be operating before the end of the year, and it's sure to get plenty of use.
I feel certain that when we finally get the lease signed and the announcement of this comes out today, we will be swamped with members and the driving range will go day and night.
Bruce Mackenzie, NBN News.
The Battle of the Still Cities in first grade won't influence the makeup of the first grade final 5, but both clubs will want to finish on a winning note, the Knights grabbing the first round points at the IOC. But most interest at the Wollongong Showground will centre on the lower grades, with the Steelers and the Knights still in the hunt in reserves and the Knights a real chance in President's Cup. Newcastle must win in reserve grade to ensure a spot, and if results go their way, could even finish with a double chance. And with 9 teams still in the hunt, anything could happen. Understandably, there's plenty of tension in the camp.
Yeah, we're getting a bit nervous, it's a big day for us and big day for the club too.
And yeah, we're getting a bit nervous, but it's always good to have a few nerves before a game like that.
For coach Mick Pittman, who is also feeling the pressure, the old adage of you play as you train has got to come true.
We've got our heads in order and we know what's expected and we know what we're up against. So the blokes have knuckled down well, and a repeat of our training sessions on the paddock on Sunday, and I think we can come off victors.
For Robert Finch's youngsters, the easier of the two matches, as Illawarra are in 10th spot on the ladder and shouldn't trouble the Knights. Finch played in two successful grand finals in 77 and 79 for St George, and would love nothing more than for his charges to experience the winning feeling.
I just hope for the players that they come across the same situation that I did in 77, 79. It's the epitome of everything. So I'd like them to feel the same euphoria that I did, but there's a lot of hard work to be done before they get there.
To secure a finals berth as they did in 89, the President's Cup team still has some work to do.
We've trained 4 nights this week. The players have got their mind on the job. They realise the importance of it all, and we just hope that they can carry that through on Sunday.
Souths were favoured to win and open that way, with Darren Ford the danger man and centre Darren Wood winning the race to open the scoring for the Lions. Winkler and Crawford added penalties before Souths went to a 14-2 half-time lead. The Scorpions had it all to do and had to score early in the second half. Not a problem. Soon after, 14-all, as the forwards powered their way over. Souths had a few opportunities to retake the lead but couldn't convert, while Toronto and captain coach Mal Graham surged ahead with scintillating play. The icing on the cake came from a brilliant attacking raid by the Scorpions 5/8, and it was all over.
Meet the Garden Group. They're St Joseph's Green Revolutionaries. Once a week they get together to discuss environmental issues and are already making a difference to their own small world. A once trampled school playground is now known as the Farm, with new trees taking root and the ground being cleared of weeds for a vegetable patch.
I would like to see more people catching on, and then we could brighten up the school more with more plants and reuse more things.
The school's waste paper bins are raided regularly, sorted, and the clean reusable paper is then turned into pulp. It's screened off and pressed to be made into stationery sets which will be sold at the school fair. Nothing goes to waste, not even the play lunch scraps. Bucket brigades do the rounds and any leftovers go into the compost bin. The mulch is used on the garden. The program has its own rewards for the children and they'd like to see other schools take up the challenge.
It's fun and it's good for the environment.
More than a dozen trade union officials, delegates and concerned residents gained access to the office of the Health Administrator, Dr Tim Smythe, and the boardroom of the Hunter Area Health Service.
It was a symbolic sign to Mr Smythe, Dr Smythe, that the people of the Hunter don't like being invaded like he's done to Wallsend, and the cuts that he's going to make to the rest of the Area Health Service.
Dr Smythe said it was a publicity stunt which upset staff. He was concerned that protesters had disturbed the property of health administration workers. However, supporters of the Wallsend Hospital are determined to continue their campaign to save the services. They are keeping a vigil in front of the ambulance bay. While the picketers have adopted a "we shall not be moved" stance, it seems the patients have adopted a similar position. Last Monday, 63-year-old Dick McNair of Burragul had a heart attack. He was admitted to Wallsend Hospital. Wallsend Hospital is winding down its services. It closed its emergency reception area last Wednesday, and according to Medical Superintendent Dr Marie Jomp, in the absence of Wallsend Hospital, the John Hunter will not be able to provide the same quality of health services to people in Newcastle.
Number one, there won't be sufficient beds to cater for elective surgery, so the waiting lists will grow, and there won't be enough beds for acutely ill medical patients.
Demonstrators will again take part in a protest march on Wednesday, and according to the Health and Research Employees Association, a campaign of industrial action is being planned. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
Hundreds of Hunter cancer patients may have to travel outside the area for treatment if the Mater Hospital can't find more radiographers for its oncology unit. One of the unit's 2 linear accelerators used to treat cancer sufferers could be closed on September 16 if more staff can't be found. Up to 110 patients are treated on the machines each day. 14 staff members are needed to maintain that level of service. Currently, there are 9. The unit's director, Dr Jim Denham, said he's unable to comment on the problems, but it's understood that if one machine is shut down, the number of patients treated could be cut by up to 40%. Sufferers would then be given the choice to wait for treatment in Newcastle or be referred to other hospitals in Sydney or even interstate. The Mater's acting Chief Executive Officer, Londa Makepeace, met with oncology unit staff this afternoon to try and work out how to keep both machines operating. After the meeting, Ms Makepeace refused to comment on camera, but she did say that within a week, the Mater would begin recruiting staff to service the machines. But when asked whether she could guarantee both linear accelerators would be operating after September the 16th, she replied, "We're aiming to ensure that they are." Scott Bevan, NBN News.
In an attempt to combat the seemingly endless array of plastic liquid containers packed into the supermarket shelves and once emptied, probably winding up at the tip, 2 young Newcastle men have devised a method of refilling the bottles using a barcode-activated liquid dispensing unit.
Since plastic containers last just about forever, we can use that fact to reuse them in a dispensing system in a supermarket.
Adam Pemberton, an electrical research engineer at the University of Newcastle, and Gary Tideswell have put a personal computer into inexpensive windscreen wiper bottles to good use to demonstrate their concept. The liquids would be stored in bulk vats and be piped to the dispenser, equipped with a barcode reader similar to those used at checkouts. Instead of throwing out an empty container, the customer could return it for a refill. The barcode reader identifies the product and quantity required and activates the dispenser. A small-scale prototype, which uses a microprocessor rather than a computer, is being developed and will be used in an attempt to sell the idea to the supermarkets. A spin-off could be a carry bucket for a number of separate refill containers.
A lot of other products are being sold on the environmental label, and we feel this is extremely environmentally sound, so that we feel it should sell well. It should be a good idea.
The agreement had its roots in June last year when Port Waratah Coal Services merged with the Kooragang coal loader to form one large operation. At the same time, the Hunter Ports Authority ceased providing labour to the loaders, leaving PWCS to absorb these employees. Negotiations on a new overall work agreement began last August. They were complicated by the involvement of 8 unions under both federal and state jurisdictions, covering people at 2 locations, the Steelworks Channel and Kooragang Island. By July this year, the agreement was ready for ratification by the Industrial Commission, to the credit of both parties, without any industrial disputes along the way. In essence, it provides for the employment of more than 200 people by job classification, not by union membership, and to be multi-skilled across the entire operation. Only 5 job classifications, from operator through senior operator to tradesman and then foreman, mean a career path is provided. For PWCS, it means greater efficiency and reliability. Mr Justice Fisher inspected the Kooragang coal loader yesterday at the start of the 3-day hearing. Today, he took formal submissions, which are expected to conclude tomorrow. If ratified, the agreement will be a model for multi-union coverage, a major breakthrough at a time when waterfront reform has been criticised for slowing down.
At the council chambers, parking for disabled drivers is conveniently located and clearly marked. According to the Lake Macquarie Council, it's a facility which is too often abused by able-bodied people.
Excuse me, mate. From NBN, mate. There's a $200 fine for parking in disabled spots. You look reasonably able. What's the go here?
Thanks.
Do you realise that there's a $200 fine for parking in a disabled parking spot?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry, I was only a minute.
But you're not disabled?
No, I'm not. I know that, but I just wanted to nick in, make an inquiry and come straight out again. I thought, well, there's 2 parks there, so...
Mayor Ivan Welsh hopes the fine will deter drivers from parking where they shouldn't.
I believe that it's a definite act of will to go and park in one of the disabled spots, because everybody knows what they're there for, and they're doing it therefore in flaunting the law, and I believe that those people should be chastised severely.
The fines will apply to all council-operated car parks in the Lake Macquarie area. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
A major concern for the Knights has been an apparent lack of firepower out wide, and the club is after some fleet-footed backs. With Canberra in the financial wars and their established stars being re-signed, the Raiders' fringe players are being eagerly sought, and grand final try scorer Matthew Wood looks certain to join Newcastle. In the past 2 seasons, Wood has played 19 first-grade games, scored 9 tries and kicked 36 goals, but has had to play second fiddle to Meninga, Bell, Daly and co. Wood is on the bench for the Raiders in the semi-final on Saturday, and the Knights' hierarchy aren't so keen to confirm their intentions to sign Wood, simply saying that negotiations are at a delicate stage.